builders are always in a hurry to start because they're short-sighted and they want to just get going. What do builders do? You've told me a million times.
We build.
We build. We don't pre-plan.
No,
we build.
We build.
But it's changing.
It is changing.
The adage is changing. A good builder that's going to provide the best customer experience is the one that has the best pre-construction.
Yes.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Building, Brews, and Barbecue, where we're taking you through our latest series, The House That Wisdom Built.
The house that Ruth built.
Ruth. Yeah, that's wisdom.
The Babe Ruth.
The babe.
The babe.
Not Ruth from the Bible.
That too.
Here we go. Here we go. Agree to disagree again. Sorry for our listeners that things happen off camera. But we're not in sync on a lot of things. What we are in sync on today, my friend, is in the Brews portion. I did decide, I put my hat on, a hat tip to my friend Nathan. I did put the hat on today to imbibe on a Miller Lite.
And can we all go back to the last couple of episodes where he made disparaging remarks about Miller Lite?
Yeah.
Now he's in.
That's right. And if I knew what the word disparaging meant, I would probably be thankful. Anyway, listen. Hey, we just got done with a two-part. We had the bonus that we hope you really enjoyed about the power team.
You gave your boots away.
Gave my boots away. Walked home. Caught a cold.
Yeah.
But that's all right. But now today we're getting into our budget smarter.
Yep.
Not harder series. Episode.
Yep.
Okay. And we hope that this doesn't go as long-winded as the rest of them, but we hope you found interest in it. And so today we're going to talk about budgeting for your dream home or your remodel. And the key takeaways, the importance of it, just the quick once through, things to be cognizant of, and the different ways to approach it.
Yep.
And so, we're going to break down the cost, how to budget smarter. Mm-hmm. Really. That's what it boils down to, because we want our listeners, which hopefully are going to be building a home remodeling, to be smarter with the budgeting phase. And
be educated on what it looks like. I want them to know what it looks like, because everybody is. That's the hardest. It's all hard. To me, though, I feel like that, on the emotional roller coaster of a build, when you're budgeting and you start talking about what it cost, it's always the weird part, and it's the weird part for the customer and the builder.
That's right.
Because generally speaking, that first budget we give is more than they want to spend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love what you pointed out, Nathan, is that it is a roller coaster, right? Mm-hmm. It's so funny. We have this detail on the wall in our workroom that is the customer emotional roller coaster through the entire build. And you see, just like you're at a fun park.
Oh, yeah.
You're at Six Flags, right? And you're going up and down. And then the big up. And these are highs and lows in building. And even in the initial phases, people think, oh, it's high when you start to build and then low here. No. It's like all the different undulations, right?
Yep.
And you get that initial high when you first start off. You've made your plan. You go into the design with the architects. You're picking things. Yep. Now comes the hard part. Now we're coming down the downhill, and we're going to get into the bottom of the first loop-de-loop right now.
And the bottom is the first time we share our numbers.
That's right. When we really get through the budget, but it's not that bad. It's
right.
like the small one, because we're going to share it early enough, right?
Yep.
And we touched on it before, and that's the most important part of budgeting early and often.
Yep.
We want that dip in that roller coaster to be as shallow as possible. And with that said, what we try to do, you mentioned simplify, and you've really hit the nail on the head, because budgeting can be this big, giant, crazy thing, elephant that's like, oh my gosh. We try to break it down into three simple, also the biggest, cost categories.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted to talk with real quick as we move through. Okay. And that's the breakdown of those three biggest ones.
Yep.
One is definitely labor.
Yep.
Is going to be the biggest cost category. Yep. Second, just as big as materials.
Yep.
And then the third is professional services.
That's right.
So, Nathan, in terms of labor, break that down a little bit for us. When we're budgeting for those labor.
Well, when we're budgeting for labor, those are prices that we have pretty dialed in because we should be using the same guys. So we're going to have those labor numbers pretty well dialed in, but then going back through pre-construction, as we've kind of beat that horse into the ground in our past episodes, it makes it important because, look, a trim carpenter isn't $4 a square foot on every house. How many rooms have moldings in them? How many rooms have crown molding? How many rooms have paneling? So going through that, having your labor, knowing their base price, getting architectural and design plans to them is very important.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to come move to Oklahoma because I can't get my trim carpenter to pick up the phone for $7 a
For
square.
$7 a foot?
But hey, but it is different in different markets,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
why
right.
this is so important.
That's
You know, we're typically seeing labor costs somewhere between 30 and 40% when it really breaks down
Yeah.
of the total cost of the job.
Yeah.
Sticks and bricks, not including land.
Right.
You know, we're just talking sticks and bricks
Yeah.
now. And so that's where we try to see if there's any undulations around that and differences, right? And the second biggest thing is materials.
Yep, that's right.
And right now, we're doing this podcast in early 2025.
Yep.
And right now, we don't know day by day what materials are going to go up in price. Everything's so tied to what we do. And if the listener doesn't know, the majority of what a home builder does for your home is tied to the commodity
That's right.
stocks
That's
and
right.
in the commodity markets.
Yep.
And it can be this, the lumber can be this one day, and then all of a sudden it takes off. A couple years ago, you saw it almost triple.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And what we're seeing this year is we get normal increases at different times of the year. You can almost set your clock by it. And the dirty little secret is things never really go down
Ever.
in price,
No.
And I hate to sidebar us here,
Yeah.
but one of the big things, and I think this is a huge takeaway for our listeners when it comes to budgeting, and I'm dropping away from materials, but it just hit me, and I have the brain span of a gnat.
Yeah. Of
Have you
course.
seen it?
Of course.
What is your name?
What?
But it's a very short brain span, and so I got to get it out,
Okay.
or else I'll forget it.
I'm ready.
No, but oh crap, I forgot. Now I forgot.
I don't forget.
I am serious. Jeez. Anyway, sorry.
Don't make me laugh.
Did you just spit up?
I think
We're on camera. Yeah,
I know. We're gonna let that stay though.
Oh no, it might come back to me. Okay, so materials, it's gonna. I can't believe it. Up and down. But listen, I remember all my customers and stuff.
Yes, you do. I will tell you this. So you said something. I'm gonna disagree a little bit. Yes, we used to be able to set our clock to, hey, you're getting a letter. Okay, hey, the concrete company in November is going to send you a letter that January 1 prices are going up. That used to be true. I feel like it's quarterly now.
Yeah.
Quarterly with drywall, shingles, concrete, where I feel like we're getting hit as builders, what's hard to keep up with is not even drywall. It's the ancillary products that go with drywall, the bullnose, the metal edging. Like it's all these little components that keep taking price increases as well. And you're right. We used to set our clock to it. Now it's quarterly. And I no longer get one sheet. Hey, drywall's up. It's multiple sheets of drywall and all the components with it are up.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And so with materials, we usually gauge that, hey, of the total cost of the job, that cost category for materials is probably going to be about 50% plus or minus of the overall cost, So we're at about 30 to 40, right around 50. And that remaining, call it 10 to 20, 10 to 15%, whatever it is I call professional fees.
Yep.
That's your interior designer, your architect, engineers, things like that.
The power team, if you will.
Except for the builder.
Yeah.
And the I guess the landscape architect too. So maybe closer to 20.
Yeah.
Right. So that kind of makes up the 100% of your build, and you got to move things around accordingly.
Oh yeah.
Right. And be cognizant of that. So those are the three biggest cost code categories. Key additions from pre-construction. Again, we'll just touch quickly on this. That a really thorough pre-construction upfront is going to catch a lot of these budgetary things and allows us to get those things honed in, moved around, cost coded. So we have the big cost categories,
Yep.
but in our systems, everything's down to the individual line item
Yep.
cost catalog or cost code.
Yep.
And so we'll align those out and we'll present that stuff to the customer,
Mm-hmm.
just depending on what type of contract they want to do with us and how we present those numbers to them. But the other thing it does is a thorough pre-construction, you had said before, it helps identify cost drivers up front.
Well, it allows us to have the conversation. What I like to tell customers, it allows us to have the conversation at this table, not out when we've already broken ground. That can still happen even with a thorough pre-construction. But what I love so much about the pre-construction and budgeting early is it allows me to tell you, hey, here's where we're at. Here's ways that we can help reduce this to get this into your budget. Or do you and your spouse want to have a conversation about knowing, well, this is what we're going to spend to get what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows us to show you, because our meetings that we like to tell our customers, hey, we're going to send this to you. Do not get shocked. Know that we're going to have a very large meeting, same thing that you have at your office. We're going to put it on the TV. We're going to run line item by line item. And we're going to talk about these things, what it is. And if we're and we'll get to it later, if we know we're going into a cost plus contract, we'll also have the bids. I'll show them the bids. Hey, this is how I got this number. I got this number because we sent it off. Here's the bid.
So what you're saying is think of pre-construction as a dress rehearsal for the build
That's
when it
right.
comes to budget.
For the project. That's right.
I love
exactly
that.
Right.
That's it. And I've always wanted to be in a dance routine on Broadway.
Doing dress rehearsals.
Yeah,
right.
that's
right. For the Rockettes.
That's right. That sounds about as close as they'll let me get to the stage.
That's exactly right.
Hey, you weirdo. Get out of here.
Have you remembered what you were going to say earlier?
No, I still have no
Good.
idea.
Perfect.
It'll come to me when I'm at home.
When we're done?
Yeah, when I'm in the bathroom later. So anyway, what we want to jump to now is one big thing when we're talking about budgeting. Yes, it involves a detailed pre-construction process. Yes, we're going to get you as accurate as possible, and that's going to evolve through as we're working through pre-construction with the power team, honing in those, yes, we want this in here, this in there. Okay, select it in our system and co-construct, or if our users or if other builders use Builder-Trend, lock it in.
Lock it in.
Get it on order. Order early.
Yes.
For a couple reasons, right? What I tell my customers is we do an awesome job in pre-construction, and one of the huge benefits that comes from that is my purchasing manager, he can release purchase orders the minute that we get the permits. The minute that our contract is finalized, we get the permits, we're ready to do our handoff, which is an official meeting that we'll talk about later, from our pre-construction team in-house to our field team that's going to physically build the house. My pre-con team is not building their house.
Yeah.
So that team then takes it over and takes the lead.
Yep.
And they're the first line of defense for building the home, first place that the customer and people that they go to talk to. Then my pre-construction team becomes the helper, the assist, so to speak. And while we're in pre-con, my field team does the assist, probably like you, where they'll go out and check a measurement on the field, check a topo to help the estimator and the project manager and the pre-con coordinator get things honed in. So that being said, we get through that. We develop the full-blown budget. Things are locked in. We get to place the order because purchase orders are released. We're securing items so we don't lose them. They go, they're not available.
Right.
We're locking that in. Right. So even though there's going to be unknowns, right? You get started. What do you, Nathan, tell your customers from the budgetary standpoint to set aside?
So what we like to say is industry standard is 10%. That's that, and we like to tell all of our customers that, and we're like, listen, as we've said in other episodes, from pad to drywall, we are pretty good at being 1% to 2%. Okay, after that, does the customer want something more expensive? do we run across problems like you talked about? Did we hit rock at excavation, which even with the civil engineer involved, we didn't know was there?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say some of my happiest customers have been those customers that we've given the budget. And I have a few of them that are running through my head. I still remember one of my first ones, one of my first real custom customers. I gave them their budget, and let's say it was like $789. And I still remember her saying, I'm comfortable with that number, but I don't want to start there. What can we do to get this lower? So we worked through the budgeting process, through all this. We got it down, and I think the contract price was at $717, something like that. We go through the build. And what was great, I still remember to this day, this was back in like 2000. God, man, this was a long time ago. I forget when it was. So what I'm going to say won't seem as expensive then, but it was now, but it was expensive then. She wanted a $4,000 kitchen faucet. Just a kitchen faucet. That wasn't just one.
Not 20 of them.
Not one, not 20, just one faucet. She's like, I'm going to take, that's what I want. And she was able to say yes to things along the way, right? She's like, yes, okay. And it didn't give her anxiety. And what was great is by the time we get to the end of the build, we ended up at the build at like $794. And my first budget was $787. Well, we lowered it down, and then she was able to spend a little more money, get about 10% over budget, but feel good because we ended where she wanted to. Where I see frustration is if they don't take into consideration that 10%. If they start kind of where they want to max out, then you add 10% to that, that can be uncomfortable.
Right. So that, and I guess you call that the contingency.
That's right.
And that's what we like to do. We like to tell, hey, 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
And it's just for the unknowns. And you know, and here's the thing. What if they say, you still have to explain why you ran into it. Right. But they don't mind if they're making the selections and they're adding the things. And we tell them, listen, keep it to the side. And once we get through your fits and finishes and we're out of the unknowns, then we'll give you the green light to start using some of that. Right. You know, it's safe to use it or do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. Keep it, whatever. But you're right. Like it's just good for them to know, okay, I have this set to the side. And like you said, hey, have a set to the side for if you end up at the countertop store and you're like, I got to have this. I got to have this piece of Carrara marble. Yeah. I got to have it. So I'm going to take it, even though it's not in my budget. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's step one, right? Step two is, do you ever tell I'm sure your customers ask you this, where to save and where to invest? They do. Because I like to be a good steward of their money. Around here, our motto is, every dollar has a name. And we steward that customer's project as if it was our own money. Yep. And where would we spend it? And since we also flip houses and do those other things, keep investments, we're really skilled. I know you are too, because you do the same thing in Oklahoma. You're really skilled with where you get the biggest bang for the buck. Yep. And, so that where to save and where to spend, where do you think is a good place to save? What do you tell them? So what I tell my customers, you're asking the roundabout the right question of it, but what I like to tell my customers is, listen, when we're building your home, save on the things that you can replace later easily. Okay? Light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, heck, even countertops, really. Hey, if we hit rock or something happens and, oh no, we've hit our contingency, I'm very big on, guys, listen, move in and you can change plumbing fixtures. You can change. Don't though try to save on something that is very hard to redo. Trim. Don't save on your windows. Don't save on your brick and rock work or your exterior facade. Those are things that are very hard to change and very expensive to change. Changing certain selection items, I know you want it. You're building your new house. But changing your plumbing fixtures is very easy. Yeah, that's right. And so that I like what you're saying. I think that's your first line of defense with where to save. And then I would say second, more intrusive, like you were going towards, you're not going to really want to take it out and replace it, or it's more intensive, would be like those secondary baths, your tile. That's right. They make really
great looking porcelains now
They do.
that are cost effective. So save there, find more cost effective products in those rooms, the secondaries, in the bedrooms, things like
I
that.
call them level 1 tiles, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
people,
Your laundry room.
people put their nose up at a level 1 tile. I've seen some, like you said, level 1 porcelains that look like marble. You know, put those in your secondary bathrooms.
Yeah, yeah. And opposed to that is where to invest. My opinion of where I try to direct my customers is, and I would say the listeners, is invest in high traffic areas
Of course.
where you're going to use it the most, where you're going to feel the most proud and take pride when you have family over, friends having a party. And, you know, that could be your kitchen,
Right.
your, you know, your primary bathroom and bedroom,
Could be your outdoor kitchen.
your outdoor kitchen.
Yeah.
That's huge now.
Yep.
You know, invest there.
That's
Hey,
right.
in that outdoor area, we're doing it now where if there's a pool or something like that, we're doing turf there
Yeah.
because it's green year round. And then doing your regular grass more native around the perimeter.
Yep.
Right. So invest in those areas. I think that's a big budgetary thing. So save, invest. I think we've nailed that on the head.
Agreed.
Those are smart choices. And you can always consult your builder, consult your builder on these things, and they'll be able to help direct you.
And it's ultimately, as I went back to earlier, in custom homes, it's your home.
Yeah.
As in to the customer. This is your home. I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to ask you how you live, what you want to use. But from there, I think we got some good ideas.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, anything else you can think of from a budget standpoint, or a process or procedure that you think just kind of stands out to you that our listeners can get benefit from?
I mean, I know it sounds like we've beat a dead horse into the ground, but due to the Builder 20 group, due to the things we've done, pre-construction and solidifying what you want in pre-construction is going to help you, and I'm talking to you, consumer, beyond more than you could imagine. Solidifying those things. You've nailed it. Hey, solidifying. We went through a couple of years ago where and when I say allowed, where we struggled was customer service was almost letting the customer drive the ship, right? And that's what we thought. And it's not good because we allowed so many things to be TBD. And you can't build it.
Famous TBD.
TBD.
And that's not just a disease.
No, it's not. That's exactly right.
It is a disease in construction.
It's a disease you don't want.
I'm being treated for TBD.
Exactly. And it's a disease you don't want because you can't build.
That's right.
You can't build. And so we've been really big at, you got to make your decisions. Let us price it. And then whatever builder you're working with, do not freak out at your first pricing.
Yeah.
It's going to be over.
Yeah.
And I want them to understand that. Oh my goodness. But if, like we've talked about, it is detailed, walk through that. And hopefully your builder can walk you through that. Okay, where is it? What can we do? Then from there, it really is as simple as it's your decision.
Yeah.
To the customer. Do you want to pay it, or do you want to find ways to save money?
That's right. That's right. And one of the things that we like to do on top of the budget is what we call the look forward.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll take the schedule and we'll overlay on the schedule. What does this look like monthly as your project rolls along of funds needed per month? And so they get a really good, and it's not hard to do because we know the schedule. We know tentatively about what's going to be required of the customer, whether it's meeting a phase completion.
Yep.
Giving that and knowing that ahead of time allows the customer to pre-plan their draws, pre-plan what's going to be owed at specific times. And I found that helps them tremendously in the budget phase.
Yes.
Because they're already thinking, okay, I'm going to need this 8 months down the road,
right?
14 months down the road, 18 months down the road, depending on the build. I mean, we have some builds that'll go for 2 years, 2.5 years. We don't see them much less than 14 or 16 months now with what we do. Yeah. And so we try to let them know that this is a long run. This is a marathon. Yeah, it is. Right? And, that's really where we are. And something that I've learned from a really good business consultant, Todd DeWalt. Yeah. He's said this many times, and that's the Jets syndrome. Now, I've done my own little spin on it, right? Okay. Because I am originally from New York.
Are you going to remember it?
Oh, no, don't talk because I'm going to forget it again. So wait a minute, Mississippi. So I'm from New York, right? And in New York, upstaters hate the Jets. We're Bills, Giants fans, right? So in my whole world, the Jets always suck.
Yeah.
But it also sucks in construction because Jets stands for just enough to start. Whether it's the budget, whether you know just enough to start with the budget, whether you know just enough to start with the selections. You know, builders are always in a hurry to start because they're short-sighted and they want to just get going. What do builders do? You've told me a million times.
We build.
We build. We don't
Build.
pre-plan.
No,
we build.
We build.
But it's changing.
It is changing.
The adage is changing. A good builder that's going to provide the best customer experience is the one that has the best pre-construction.
Yes. And it takes time.
Yes.
It takes time. And that's what I think I want the most out of this is for customers that are going into this to know what they're going into because it almost shocks people. In that very first meeting, they're like, okay, so how long is this going to take? And for me, it's always, okay, well, if today you sign a design contract, 16 to 18 months. Today. Today. And then that's always what? It's like, yeah, they're because, you know, they got that energy to, we're starting, we finally made this decision. But I'm hoping that we are educating people of knowing. That's what I try to educate them when they get to me because I'll get people that are like, well, we really don't want to break ground till next year, whatever. I'm like, so let's start now.
Right.
Because if you want to break ground next year and you come to me next year, when you show up to me, we're 6 months away from breaking ground.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's start. Let's pre-plan. Let's do this.
Awesome. Well, I think we know a lot about the budgets, and I hope our listeners have learned a lot about the budgets. Yeah. And if they do have any questions, just please feel free to reach out to us, DM us. We love questions around here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just can't remember them.
Yeah, no, we don't remember the questions or the answers.
Yeah. So I think that's just a preface for us. So if we forget your question, blame it on me.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to learn more, we'd love it if you would tune into the next episode. For now, like, subscribe, give us a review. I think that's not what we asked for before. We'd love a 5-star review, but don't gauge it off of this one.
Or don't gauge off any of them. Just give us a 5-star
Just give us a 5-star
yeah,
review.
That's preferably.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, that's right.
And like I said, like and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube or whatever you get your podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode.
That's right.
Right? Where we're going to dive into some other cool stuff.
Yep.
And in the meantime, I'm Vince.
And I'm Nathan.
We'll see you on the next one.